Welcome to Talking Twaddle, a Better Being Me podcast, the podcast where we unpack the neurodivergent experience, not just in theory, but in all its messy, beautiful, everyday reality. I'm Joanne Hatchard, and I'm here because I believe something important. Your story might feel deeply personal and even isolating, but it's not unique. That might sound strange at first because in the thick of it, when you're feeling like an alien at the window, disconnected from your body, or like you're constantly just one step outside of belonging, it feels so personal, like no one else could possibly understand. But here's the thing, those exact feelings, they're shared over and over again across this beautifully neurodivergent community. So this podcast isn't about highlighting one way to be or do neurodivergence right. It's about making space for all of the common threads in our story, the ones that remind us we're not alone, we're not broken, and we're not doing this by ourselves. This is our journey, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Welcome to the next episode of Talking Twaddle with your host, Joanne Hatchard of Better Being Me, neurodiverse family therapist. Today, I am so excited to have the amazing, incomparable Amy Hourigan from Amy Who Digital. Did I get the last name right?
Yeah, pretty
I'd
close.
read it, but I don't have to say it out loud ever.
Hurry, it's an Irish name.
I'm Irish. Oh, and happy St. Paddy's Day today. We are
Thank you so much.
St. Paddy's Day. So welcome. And thank you so very much for willing to share your story. I'm excited to see where this conversation goes.
It can absolutely go anywhere. I'm a little bit terrified of the rabbit holes we could go down, but I'm sure it'll be worth it. You might need to edit this down to a slice.
Fabulous. Amy, if you want to start off with telling us where your neurodivergent journey began.
Well, as you can imagine, at birth or somewhere before or after there. Not after. It was straight after or in the womb. In the womb.
We're recognizing neurodivergences from birth.
Yeah, I think we're definitely recognizing that. But yeah, so I was only diagnosed a couple of years ago now. I have no idea. I'm thinking we're around the 2-year mark. So I'm 43. So, a good 41 years undiagnosed, probably about 2 or 3 years of contemplation of going, oh, maybe a bit longer than that. And then, that year leading up going, I think we can safely say this is a thing. And now we just need to get the boxes ticked. So, it's
what triggered the contemplation?
So, like most late diagnosed women, children. So, going through my own kids' diagnoses, they were both late diagnosed by today's standards, around 10, both of them.
Yeah.
Both assigned female at birth. So, about the average for gals. So, it was a journey of going, I don't know what's wrong with them, but it's not autism because they're just like me and that this is like normal and fine. And it's everyone else that has the problem. But like desperately trying to meet their needs while simultaneously realizing that society was not going to allow me to advocate for them in a way and go, this is what they need. That's cool. And the school would be like, absolutely, we can't accommodate that. Sorry. So then eventually getting somebody who would listen. My eldest has PDA, pathological demand avoidance, so a very different presentation to what the schools are used to, although now I think it's a lot more understood. My eldest is 18. That is a bit of a long time ago now. So that was, a tricky one. And I actually came across it online myself and introduced it to a psychologist and was like, here's this thing from the UK and they're saying that this is a thing and this sounds exactly like my kids. So maybe they're autistic. And the psychologist went away and read it and went, I think you're right. I think So I was just like, okay, cool.
We can run with it.
Yeah, finally we had something to take to. You have to have a reason. Psychologist has to have a reason to say this child should have an assessment. And then finally we had something that we could structure around, because in other areas they were very high masking, high social skills. Just hard to tell.
Hard to tell. Yeah. And parenting PDA is a lot of sideways parenting rather than direct parenting. Direct parenting would have been our generation of just coming straight at you and compliance expected 100%. Whereas I feel PDA parenting is a lot of sideways of presenting information and then walking away.
Yeah. And obviously I did not know that because I did not know PDA existed until after about 10. So without putting any berating myself, because I've done enough of that and we can move on, I didn't parent them in a way that they needed for a long time, which caused a lot of trauma. It was just, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I've already done enough self-flagellation, so I'm starting to let that go. Yeah, once I knew what we were dealing with, it obviously gave me the power. Obviously, we know that diagnosis is so powerful to be able to go, okay, cool, all right, now we can try and find something that works for other people that have experienced this, and we can ask other people how they would have felt if they were in this situation. So wasn't long after that or during that whole process of going, all right, we're leaving school and we don't have a choice. This kid isn't going to survive. Like, we can't keep doing this. And the school had nothing to offer us. We can't help you. Like, we want to, we care, but we can't help you. And because there's not really anything the Department of Education can do with their very crazy software systems that go, sorry, we're still going to have to send you a text message every day saying your child's not in school today. And still going to have to threaten you with truancy officers, and you have to come into meetings. And had some very traumatic experiences with the Department of Education because I was a school current kid, so I've never been diagnosed with PDA, but very similar kind of anxiety-based autism. Right, just like my nervous system was just set to I'm scared, like from birth, I think. Interestingly, having done a lot of therapy and trying to unpack everything before I got diagnosed with autism, just doing every kind of therapy, I come to the conclusion that a lot of my nervous system issues were definitely there. But when I was born, my mum needed to have a hysterectomy about 6 weeks after I was born.
Wow.
Days having a hysterectomy was pretty traumatic. So it was like 6 weeks of like serious recovery time. So my mum sent me to stay with my nana, and my siblings went off to different aunties and uncles. And so my nana looked after me for a while, and I'm pretty sure that created like a pretty trauma response in my little tiny newborn baby nervous system. And just always had a really anxious attachment with my mum, just absolutely terrified to let them out of my sight, needed to be with them constantly. Obviously, all the interpersonal stuff that comes with a child that just wants to be with their mum constantly and can't be without them. And then her not having the ability to always cope with that. And then also trying to send me to school and also trying to get me to do all the things, and me not being able to do them.
How many kids in your family?
4. So 4, yes. I'm the baby, youngest of 4. So, the story growing up was that I was just the hard one, the crying one, I was the one that made everyone get sent off to aunties and uncles when I was born, because they were all a bit older than me, obviously. And so brother was 7 when I was born, so they have memories of it being a bit of a traumatic time as well. So it was like that story within myself was that I am just so hard to deal with and I am just too much. And as much as I wanted to not be too much, my nervous system was just like, you need to do what you can do to feel safe.
Do that. And even in that regards, from your mother's perspective, her nervous system would be fucked as well. Because pregnancy, I don't know about you, but pregnancy for me really threw off all of my sensory like registrations and all of the things. Pregnancy really did my head in. But then to go through that and then 6 weeks later have to have a hysterectomy.
She had fibroids with me. So when she was a few months pregnant, she went to the doctors and she was, something's wrong. Feel my stuff. The doctor's, okay, this isn't great. You're either having like quadruplets or wrong. And he said, whatever it is, go home, buy a bottle of whiskey or something, and I'll see you on Monday. And so obviously she didn't do that. Like his advice at the time, that end of this, something's wrong. And so turned out she had fibroids. So like she was having cesarean, she was having scans like every fortnight to see if I was growing okay. And then then she had to have the surgery afterwards. And it was her first C-section, so she'd had natural births with the others. So for her it was
and that was a pretty big operation at that time as well.
Knocked her out, have to knock you out, and be
Big
separate.
size. My mum shows me.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, yeah, pretty.
It is interesting. I guess one of the old school research phases where they went through was the refrigerator mother was the cause of autism.
Yeah.
I find that very frustrating for so many different reasons, but I feel like there is the attachment for that. There's a high possibility, I don't know about anybody else through pregnancy and those first couple of months of being a mother, but I was very detached because I didn't know what the fuck was going on
Yeah. Yeah.
internally. Did you find that as well for your pregnancies, or were you masking heavy?
I hated being pregnant, like, was very sensory, the nausea, the just being so big, not being able to sleep, heartburn, all that sort of stuff. And I just had very bad depression, like really bad prenatal depression. So I was very lucky that when my firstborn was born, I had that elation, the oxytocin, even though it was an emergency cesarean and quite traumatic, was just one of those moments where I was like, I did feel good, but probably the biggest thing I felt was like shame and guilt from like, that was my most big feeling. So like the love I felt was shaped in shame and guilt already from like the birth didn't go I thought it would. And I was
Mm.
like, little comments from midwives here and there. And like, what did I do wrong? And I could have done this better. And also all that trauma that I had about being the cesarean baby and like wondering because a lot of the times when I was a kid, we'd go to the doctor and when my mum would try to explain, I'm having a lot of trouble with my child, and they're like, what was the birth? Did you have a normal pregnancy? And they ask all those questions, and all the time, my mum would be like, and so I'd hear this story over and over again that it was the birth. So I would carry that story. And so as soon as I had my first baby by cesarean, I was just, shamed.
This is the beginning of the
Like,
same story. Yeah.
not that I have any, like for everybody else, like I would never have any judgment about how they gave birth, why they gave birth like that, or anything. But for me, for some reason, it just felt I've already failed. Like I needed this to be different than my experience, and I've already fudged.
Yes.
Of course, that was my fault and had nothing to do with the medical system or education or whatever. It was definitely all about
It was
my
definitely
ability. Yeah.
your ability to produce. But interesting, they still ask that in the autism assessments is what was the birth like? Was it a cesarean? I'm like, I always, because it was a cesarean for Gilbert, but I'm like, but tell me, why does that make a difference? What is
Yeah.
that? Like, I know physiologically the pressure from the vaginal cavity creates a huge amount of kick-off things biologically.
Yeah. I think there's some like biome flora thing as well that happens. So I'm not sure if it's like I don't know. I've always wondered, I was actually going to ask you, do you know why they ask? Because I was like, I'm wondering if they're just asking so that they can put it into study and go,
Is there any tie?
yeah.
I wonder if it'd be worth like shoving the baby through another tight tube. Like,
Yeah.
get it going again.
I don't know if that'd pass the ethics committee, but I'd probably watch a YouTube video of it.
This works, but experimenting on babies not advisable.
No, I think we left that behind in the Asperger's era.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that. But you can hear how your story starts to mirror your firstborn story, and then like you've created the story in your head and watched it evolve until you've gone, no fucking way are we doing this twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it took me a while because my story was because I had been through it, I was the very best person to help them get through it. But it turned out that I wasn't because I never learnt how to get through it because I didn't get through it. Yeah, I survived it. Yeah, I survived it. I didn't.
You didn't do the coping mechanisms.
No.
Standing, you did the othering and the masking and the
so
those lessons. That's great.
Yeah, I probably went to school like you could. However many years I would have gone a third of the time to a point, and then it started being like I wanted to go to school so bad, and that's what used to make me so upset is that people would be like, because people didn't have language for it. So she's a brat. My mum, you're not trying hard enough. Da, da, da. And I wanted to so bad, and I just couldn't. And people would say, "Why don't you want to go to school?" I'd be like, "I do. I can't. I can't." And so it was called school refusal back then, and still is in a lot of spaces, but the school can't movement is really makes my heart happy not because there's other children going through it, but just because families and children now know that they're not the only one. Because when I was going through it, I was a freak. It was weird. Nobody at any store I'd ever been to was going through anything even slightly similar. So just didn't know how to deal with it. Principals didn't know how to deal with it. My parents didn't know how to deal with it. Went to a psychologist once and sobbed and panicked attacked my way through their assessments, like IQ assessments and all that sort of thing, and found I was very smart. Like that wasn't a problem. So it wasn't a learning problem. And then, her thing was saying that I was a brat. She literally said to my mum, she's a brat. The brat. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So getting a diagnosis of brat back in the 90s, and now it's cool as heck to be a brat.
Brat era.
So reclaiming my brat summer. But so it was just like my family loved me, and no, it wasn't it's not, I'm not looking back now going, I hate everybody for not knowing or the way that I was treated or the way that we coped. It was more, I had to look back and reprocess my entire life through this lens of it wasn't my fault. I was literally disabled. I was disabled. Expectations of society. Because when I was allowed to, and my mum worked, she always worked, so it was hard for her. Obviously, it's not as important for two parents to work anymore, but at the time she liked working, so she liked doing things, and we weren't like rich by any means, so it was obviously helpful to have two parents working. Obviously, those days when she could stay home and I could just sit in my room and read and just have a calm nervous system, like they're the days that I look back on with such fondness of my childhood, because I'm just like there was so few times when I felt calm and safe. And I think for her, and probably she's passed away and obviously can't be diagnosed, but I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying that there was definitely some undiagnosed ADHD or something going on there, and just a busy working mum of 4 kids in the 80s and 90s, just not having the internet to Google how to deal with little bratty children who don't or can't go to the store. So she had a lot of empathy for me, and like I was the baby and she was so protective of me, and we were so enmeshed, needed each other. I think because I needed her so much, she then grew to like need me needing her. So
the codependency.
But also she had her own life and other children and work and stuff, so she wasn't able to be as connected as I wanted. I don't know. It was she did a great job with what she had.
Hello, I'm Joan Hatchard, founder of Better Being Me and creator of Be Me Completely. For years, I worked with families across Australia, helping them understand and support their neurodivergent children. But what I've seen over and over again is a growing number of women silently screaming for help. Women who've spent their lives adapting, masking, and trying to keep everything together, only to realise that they've lost themselves in the process. This is why I've created Be Me Completely, an 8-week program designed specifically for late identifying neurodivergent women. I help you reclaim your identity and embrace who you are. Come with me as we peel back the mask and learn to feel comfort in the world. This isn't about fixing yourself. You are never broken. This is about putting your needs on the table, recognizing your strengths, and learning to live in a way that works for you. Join me for 8 weeks of support backed by a lifetime of access so you can finally remember who you are, because my life is better being me and your life is better being you.
But looking back, I just went to a party on the weekend and met a mum of young neurodivergent kids, and she's saying they teach them about nervous system in reception now. And I'm just like, it made me feel so happy. I was just like, oh my goodness, to have heard about my nervous system before my 30s. I didn't even know it was like a thing. And the first thing I remember about the nervous system, do you remember that? There was a meme, and I am like a meme queen. I remember all of them and I love them. There's a picture of the nervous system. It's a human nervous system, has been taken out of a body. And it's a
plasticized one?
And he said, like, he'd be looking a little bit nervous. It's like my first real connection with the nervous system. I was like, my nervous system do be looking a little bit nervous too. And then, starting to make that connection. And now that neuroscience has come so far, so fast, and it's been so exciting to learn about myself and nervous system and how I'm not sure at what point it broke, but I remember doing a course with Ashley Morland from the Rewiring Institute about the nervous system. And I was just like, I don't know if it was always broke. You can't break your nervous system, post-traumatic stress,
Wiring,
post-traumatic stress, all that sort of stuff. And I don't know if that from a baby being staying in my nana and probably like the controlled crying of the 80s and 90s and even now, again, not judging people survive how they need to survive. But yeah, I just think for me with the way that I was wired and then, not ever having people knowing how to meet my nervous system needs. Yeah, I just came to it and just went, my nervous system feels like it's broken. It's like no matter the situation I'm in, I can be in my quiet house, in my bedroom, sitting on my bed. I don't have any meetings today. I don't have anything really big this week. The kids are all doing fine. And I'm sitting here so scared, and so anxious and irritated and on edge. And having a little bit too much coffee will send me into an absolute meltdown, not a meltdown, but an internal meltdown. Like my brain cyclone, like I can't catch a thought, like I can't. I can do everything I need to do. So I'm still performing because I'm like working from home and I'm still producing work and my clients are getting looked after. But because I'm so hypervigilant, they would never know that anything's wrong because I'm never going to make a mistake. And if I do make a mistake, I'm going to make up for it 1,000 times because I must always make sure that there's no threat anywhere.
Yeah.
And then when they would pop up out of nowhere and I hadn't predicted them, it would just be like devastating.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a journey, me and my nervous system. I'm hoping that the old girl will last because I'm just like, I've put her through so much already. I'm just like, I just need to let her rest. Like I just dream of retiring one day. And I said to my kids, like, it's not that I don't want to be around you in my older years, but I feel like I deserve to like just go live a solitary life in a village somewhere. I don't need friends. I just want to be quiet and I just want to be
nothing.
Breathe. But maybe I might need that if I live.
It's interesting you say this because to be frank, I'll be frank.
Okay, I'm the therapist. You tell me.
Doesn't matter where you are because your nervous system is always going to be with you. So when we've got that such a hypervigilant nervous system that is always on high alert, it then becomes, it's not your environment, it's the internal. And so it doesn't matter where you carry yourself in the world, you are always going to have that internal with you. And it means that you don't know what rest looks like for you.
Yeah.
And so to replicate that is super, super hard because you don't know what you're aiming for.
Yes.
And that's really difficult because then we often start externalizing. If it wasn't noisy, if I didn't have demands, if I didn't do this, if I just lived in an Italian village without any friends, then my nervous system would rest. And I call bullshit.
Yeah.
Because no.
The funny thing is I can actually be here today because I have done the work on my nervous system. And it's only been like this weekend, something shifted after doing a lot of work. And I think that I'm on the path of, I feel quite calm today and I have all weekend. And I think that I haven't cured my nervous system. Yeah. Like I'm starting to learn how to be okay and what I need to be okay and all that sort of stuff. And it's been a journey and 20 years of working it out. But yeah, I finally feel like I'm starting to get it, and that maybe I don't need to run away to an Italian village, and maybe I just want to, just because I want to eat.
I'm no harm in trying, right?
Yeah. If I can afford to in my retirement years, then I'll be like, I'll be doing it.
Bye.
Yeah, at least for a year.
And I love that there's so much introspection from your side from the nervous system and the history. There's obviously a fair amount of therapeutic language that's come around that. So there's lots of exposure to different therapies, etc. And the piecing it and tying it all together. But it feels like there's just been a rock that's shifted out of the way for you. Would that be like it just feels like it's on a different path at the moment because we can't do anything about the past and about the attachment. And so many therapies do the historic review of this is the source of the anxiety or the nervous system disruption. There's the source. And you're like, that's great, fantastic.
Yes.
Now what?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Spending your entire life intellectualizing what's going on. I'm just like, okay, yep, I get it. Now where's the healing? Now how do we fix it? And they're just like, I don't know. Yeah. So yeah.
We've painted a pretty picture. Now you get to with that knowledge. Congratulations.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been trying a lot of, because I've always been, just seeing psychologists and stuff. Started working with more neuroscience based techniques, different therapists that aren't psychologists.
Different styles. Yeah.
Yeah. Working with Nikki Box, who does like a rapid processing thing where it's really less about what happened or the thought and more about just rewiring. I don't even know how it's magic. It's science and it's magic. I don't know exactly, but it works. So yeah, it's been about shifting things. So you would know more than me about how it works, but in terms of, it's not about going deep into the things that happened and intellectualizing it. It's just moving it out of the way, because it's like, it's not happening right now. It happened 20 years ago. You don't need to be thinking about it anymore. It's not a reason to feel anxious right now, happening in this minute, and just letting my nervous system know that we don't need to be worrying about that right now. That's been really helpful because, I feel like psychology and talk therapy and all those modalities have a huge place. And I'm glad I did them because it allowed for some like really deep understanding of what happened and why it happened and how it affected me. But at the moment, nervous system stuff is like really what's shifting things.
The whole thing. Yeah. Amazing. And it's, as a neurodivergent community, we do love to intellectualize the emotions rather than feel the emotions, because those pesky emotions make us feel yuck. But
so whatever reason, anger for me was a huge one, probably from, I'm guessing, that having meltdowns as a kid and that being looked
down upon and recorrected. And
and I was a very sad child and a lot of crying and a lot of stuff like that. So I think at some point I learned to not show those overt emotions. They would all still be happening, but very internally. So I just and it was all about, I need to not get it out. I just need to stop feeling it. So get it out. Yeah. So I'm still there would be times in my early 20s and 30s and sometimes 40s where, something bad would happen that would kick me off into a meltdown, and no one would ever see it or know. I'd just disappear for a couple of days. And it was more like just being like in my room in the dark, internally having this absolute self-hatred and I'm a freak and just deal with things like, and not like going, any other normal person would be able to like make a mistake and just recover from it. And I just have, that takes me like 3 days to get over it. And over time, obviously those things can happen now and it can just be like a blip.
And then a 3-day mention.
Grow.
I call them Sunday spirals. How's your crisis going on a Sunday? It always happens on a Sunday. I don't know why Sunday, but crisis mode happens Sundays.
Yeah, mine would always be like midweek when I was like supposed to be working.
And,
like not all the time. But it was like having a couple of days off work quite frequently. So being self-employed is life-saving.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, especially during those turbulent times. I don't think that I could ever be employed again. I don't think I would cope. Not even just that's not being like, I love working for myself so much that I don't want to be employed. I don't think I could be employed. Like, I had to go to an office 5 days a week. And if I had my own office, maybe, but the commute every day I would be, a mess.
Yeah. And the transitions, etc. And the flexibility you grant yourself as working as a self-employed person is so much more expansive than what any employment company could offer.
Yeah. So I went like halfway through my business got acquired by a bigger business. So they acquired my business and my clients.
Well done.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I was just like, look at me, and I'm a big business woman. So in that contract, obviously I went with my business for the first 12 months.
Yeah.
And it was like an open plan office, all men, all IT guys.
IT men, yeah.
I'm sure I wasn't the only undiagnosed neurodivergent amongst us. But working in that open plan thing, like I would just sit there and pretend to work for 8 hours and then go home and do my work in 2, because like I'm very efficient and very good at what I do. That environment, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't think. I couldn't as soon as you get into a job or start even think about having a hyper focus, you get interrupted and there's just movement and noise. And yeah, I just, even if my anxiety wasn't so bad, I could just can't focus. I have ADHD as well. So I'm just like, yeah, there's too many squirrels here.
And they're all moving and shiny.
Yeah. And I was like, productivity for the whole company went down because I was just like chatting to everyone all day. I'm just like, so what are you doing? And how do you do that? And so yeah, it wasn't a good idea for anybody really.
No, I would swan around the office as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How about you do some fucking work, Joanne?
Yeah. I don't think, it's in anyone's best interest that I come in.
Tell me about your business for a second, because I just want to highlight that regardless of how your stories begun, you've found your way and you've found your niche and you've found your skills. So tell me a little bit more about Amy Who Digital.
Yeah, both my parents were business owners. So owning a business was not like unusual for me. My dad was a software developer, accounting software developer, and my mum like grew up with 4 kids. She always loved working. So she would buy businesses where we could come. So we had a deli, which was when we were growing up as kids. So that was amazing. She had a dress shop. Yeah, she did lots of amazing stuff. A news agency. So I think I started my first job, I was working in my mum's news agency and some guy came in and I was always on the computer. The internet had just been invented. So it was so exciting. And he's, so you know how to use those computers, hey? And I'm like, yeah. He was just like a Thai restaurant and he wanted me to collate all the addresses of all his delivery customers and then put them into a database and then send them by physical mail with a stamp and everything. Yeah, a menu. So that's how old I am. So that was I think I was probably around 19 at the time. So that was my first foray into self-employment, which I thought was super cool. Yeah. That was pre-email marketing. And I just always found marketing quite fascinating when I went to uni, which is surprising because I never actually finished year 8 and then went to uni and loved it. I didn't study marketing. I studied Aboriginal studies and psychology. But I'd got involved in a student group, which was, we were trying to get more Aboriginal Australian content into the curriculum in psychology. So that was our main thing. And then so I became the president of that group. And then I'm like, we need to, the internet's just things, we need to start using, getting our word out there, using social media and stuff as it's just all starting to happen. So that was fun. And then when I was pregnant, that's when Facebook really, I think it was like one of my mother's group mums sent me a link for, you should join Facebook. It's this new cool thing. Yeah. Everybody's using it. So I joined it, and being the weirdo, technical, analyst-y kind of style person, I was seeing following brands and stuff on there and just going, businesses could do so much with this.
Yeah.
And so then, having small kids and then had an epically traumatic relationship breakup. And, that period I was saying to him, I've got this really cool business idea. And he's just, that sounds stupid. And I don't get it. And so obviously as soon as we broke up, I was just we sold the house and I looked at my half and went, I could try and get a loan as a single currently unemployed uni student mum, or I could use this money to start a business that he said that I wouldn't be able to succeed at. So the petty little witch I am. My entire empire is built on spite. But no, I knew that I just knew that it was a good idea. And I was just like, this is a good idea. This is going to work. It's going to work. I can do it. So so mainly started out on social media, and as soon as I put it into the world, I had my first client, which was a parent wellbeing author who had online course and stuff. So that was when that online course thing was just starting, the online digital learning stuff. Mm-hmm. I did some community management with that. And I was just always, because I was such a recluse, was really good at online communication because that was where I felt so safe and comfortable. So I was had a lot of experience with online communities and a lot of understanding online communities. So then that kind of went into the marketing stuff. And then, just started doing social media marketing. And then not long after that, I was just you know what, social media marketing is great and it gets a lot of eyeballs on stuff. But then I started looking at people's websites and I'm going, that's where the real magic is happening. And I want to know how to get them to rank number 1 when people are searching for it. So I got my sister's boss. I was just can I do your SEO for you? And they hired me and my web developer sidekick to build a website. And then I was just like, I'll do it for free. Can I learn how to get this website to rank? And it was awesome because they're like a manufacturing company. So for them to rank #1 meant their business just went from nope to their business, like obviously had a huge, we're talking like millions of dollar impact. So I was just, now this is exciting when I can actually make like massive, help people like really
Yeah.
the business and like their bottom line. That's where I was just like, this is cool, especially when you can see that direct impact of your work, helping.
Yeah, the before and after.
Yeah. And so then in amongst the learning search engine optimization and all the Google stuff going and learning ads on top of that. So yeah, now I used to do everything because I was just like working with small businesses and trying to go, all right, if we're going to do social media, then I'm going to have to fix your website as well because I know that I'm not going to be able to get them to, not as many of them to convert unless your website's working. So then like I'd end up just doing everything. But now I've niched down into my areas of interest, which is SEO and ads, which really love, which is cool because 1, I can do it from home. 2, like a special interest. So I'm just like, 3, there's like tangible, exciting goals that I can see. And I'm just like, I get super excited. Now, like, I've learned now that my clients sometimes are not as excited about it as I am. And I'm just like, how could you not be as excited about this? But yeah, I love it when I have clients who are like super passionate and excited and want to grow and want to get excited. Yeah, that's the ideal client of finding that person who gets as excited as you. But yeah, I've learned to just be excited for them. And like, I did it. And you might not understand that it was me, but I know it was.
What an amazing arc from the beginning to the end. Absolutely beautiful story, because I think it really highlights that freedom when you've given yourself freedom to learn from interest and reflecting. While you started with the Aboriginal studies and the psychology, it's really interesting what you did in your part, like in your sideline of corralling people, of making you the president of the group, like that real direction. So while you got into university, congratulations, but it's that following the passion of reflection of actually, this is a thing that really lights my fire. This is a thing that I can do every day.
Yeah,
absolutely. That freedom is essential, I think, especially for PDA and the neurodivergent brain of I might end up doing it your way, but I need to find out what my way is first. So hold my beer.
Yeah. And raising PDA children, like having kids that can't attend school, I was just like, I could not have survived those years because I didn't have a choice as I needed to work. I couldn't go to work. So such a blessing to have this, to be able to turn my special interest into a career. But yeah, I also understand that there's other people who need to make money and need to work. And I think we need to work harder, as I'm sure you do, to find careers or maybe some welfare reform that allows parents of children who can't go to school to survive, because it's really scary to not have that option. In even 8 years ago, like the economy wasn't what it was, but still it was pretty crucial as a single parent to work unless you don't have options, right? You can either be living in housing trust and being on benefits, but then if you've got a neurodivergent child who then requires therapies, and NDIS didn't exist back then, and requires like internet and all these things that make them feel good, and eating McDonald's as the only safe food for 8 years in a row, like that was really expensive. I was lucky that I could be self-employed. I feel so grateful that I had a skill that I was able to sell. But yeah, as you know, from our previous discussions, my heart is like always like I got to bring other people with me. So yeah, I wish, there's so many things I wish, but I hope that society can find a way to help as many parents of school cart kids to find an income some way, make work from home reform so that people could have choices, because it is really scary to need money and to want to provide your children with a safe environment for their nervous systems, especially when your nervous system is on fire, their nervous system's on fire, and you're both in chaos, like all the time, just never feeling safe. It's scary.
And you bring up an amazing point there, is the fact that your impact is going to be so much greater when your nervous system is sorted, because then you've got the capacity for follow through, your capacity to split attention without forgetting the end of the conversations, it all starts to really expand exponentially. And I find this happens so often is that we always, as neurodivergent folk, we tend to always start at the wrong end of the story. I don't know about you, but I feel like, oh, this is my end goal. And then I'm helping everyone else. I'm helping everyone else. I'm helping her off. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I burnt myself out caring for everybody else my entire life, and only just at my big old age gone, okay, all right, I'm worth looking after first and foremost, which is a big lesson to learn when you are a people pleaser. And a lot of people are like that. I know, and a lot of women, a lot of old folks that, try to please people and feel like their worth is wrapped up in caring for others. And if I'm worthless unless I'm helping everybody else. But I hope that, the way that education is changing around neurodivergence and just in general neuroscience, that we're just teaching children that they're inherently worthy, whether their nervous systems are broken or not. And even I have a son who has a significant disability, and I to society, to some people in society, he doesn't have inherent worth because he's not going to have a job, probably not one that's going to have a massive impact. And so I see the way society treats him and doesn't see his inherent worth, which I guess has helped me see mine a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, that ability.
yeah, you're doing for him and now you can do for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's the critical point, isn't it? Is we can try and we can try and help as many people as we want. But if we are running on empty, that's the support can be done so that in parallel, it's not fair because you can't just wait. Your kids can't wait for you to get ready and be sorted. They're going to grow up regardless of what you're doing with your nervous system. So finding a way to do it in parallel. So it's not the domino effect, but it's that parallel play of this is what I'm trying and then bringing them in the journey, or what are you trying? Like that it's such a commune like existence.
Yeah. And I think a lot of every parent I speak to, like guilt and shame are up there as one of their main things that keeps them up at night, trying to move away from that just because it's not helping them at all. So it's just self-serving in the way that I can make myself, because I think those feelings, I've used them to fill the hole. So instead of being able to know how to fix the feelings, I'm just would fill the noise in my head with you're worthless.
Yeah.
I think you should never have had children. They don't deserve you. They deserve better than this. But they are so emotionally intelligent. We've been on this journey together. I'm very honest with them. They think I'm great. I probably think did a much worse job than I actually did.
Yeah.
But and there was traumatic times, and we did have horrible times, and we will continue, I'm sure, to have really hard times. But I think for them to see me keep trying and I don't mean like I've been out there doggedly every day, like eye the tiger trying to work on it. There's been months and months of depressions and times when it's been really not good and it was really hard for them. But I've always got back up and I've always tried the next thing. All right, I'll try this therapy or I'll try this. And I'm grateful. They would have always seen me keep trying, but I'm grateful that they get to see me start doing things that are working. So that's really exciting to go, guys, I think I found it. I think I know how to listen. And so that's great for them because they're neurodivergent too. So I'm just like, now they're learning about their nervous systems and always by choice, but I'm just like, right, listen, science. So they do their own research as well. They know how to get on the algorithms that give them the information they need. Yeah, and in ways like one of my kids is not like me at all. We're like opposite on the spectrum, as there's many different types of us. We're not all the same. So that's been a really interesting journey because trying to understand each other's nervous systems and go, this is how we're all working. And so their nervous system, obviously, because I protected them from a lot of the traumas that I went through as well, their nervous system is in a bit more of a good state. Yeah, they haven't had to go through the traumas, which is great. Obviously, I haven't been able to protect them from all of them. We did our best. And I think over the next few generations, I would love to about what happens with the afterlife or returning on Earth. And I'm just like, if I could come back as like somebody with a nervous system that works, that would be super fun. Because getting to do it all again, but with being
With
less nervous. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Take the generational well instead of the generation of trauma, and I'll take the good nervous system this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing your story. And so many points will resonate for so many different families. And obviously, your story is unique to yourself, but there are so many common threads in every one of our stories, especially the late diagnosed neurodivergent female around pregnancy and birth and being pregnant and motherhood and all of that. So it's really, I think that's an unexplored space. But then knowing that the best support for you is understanding yourself and understanding your nervous system. And once you're allowing yourself to trust your gut, that all amazing things can happen.
Yeah, I think we're taught as women in general to push things down and not to feel them and to just tip up a lip. Yeah. It's just sometimes you just need to have a meltdown and you need to let it out and you need to get angry and you need to punch a pillow and you need to be loud and you need to cry. And it's fine. And then you'll move on and the next day you'll feel a bit better. You can process those emotions and actually feel them and not feel bad about it.
That's it. I think it's Alison Davies that emotions are, oh crap. Feelings in motion. That's what they're not meant to be stagnant. They're not meant to be stuffed down. They're meant to be passing through our systems and letting them go. So our nervous system is built for it to be let go. And when we start to push it down, then it has nowhere to put the information.
Yeah.
So
let it go.
Go, Elsa.
Yeah.
But Gilbert's favorite joke is, why don't you give Elsa a balloon?
Why?
Because she will let it go.
Of course she will. I didn't put enough thought into that. I really but yeah, I think we should all be like Elsa and let it go.
Let it go. Thank you so very much for your time. It's so much appreciated. I'm sure that lots of people will get so many different takeaways from your sharing. It's been much appreciated. Thank you. Would you have any last words of wisdom?
Oh goodness. I think just keep going and keep trying new things. And if psychology didn't work for you, look into alternative stuff. Yeah, and just forgive yourself. Run a journey. It's going to be fine. I know people say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. But I honestly thought that I was like the most useless, worthless sack of shite for a very long time. And I thought there was no way I could ever get better. And I'm getting better. And it's really exciting.
We're not just polishing the poop.
Maybe a little bit. On some days.
Depending. Thank you very much. And it's bye for me. If this episode has resonated with you, chances are it'll resonate with someone else too. Sharing the podcast is one of the best ways to help others who might be feeling stuck, unheard, or just needing a little nudge towards understanding themselves better. So if you found something useful here today, take a moment to share it. Send it to a friend, post it in a group, or even just screenshot it and pop it in your socials. Tag me so I can say thank you. If you haven't already, hit follow, leave a review, or rate the show. It makes a huge difference in getting this out to more people who need it. Your support means the world. Thank you for being here.